Cool. Let's see. How's that? Welcome back to the Shaligram Zone, episode 9. We got some shaligrams to go through. Wasn't really planning on it, but I came across some really cool ones from Siraj Das. Everything that I intend to talk about today will be from Siraj Das. Do I start? I did just start a stream. Let's see what's up over here. Nothing new there. I saw this one. It's maybe a good intro just to look at this one real quick. It has an opening over there. Kind of see the lines like radiating out of it almost. And the dots, I don't know. It's not really a cohesive ammonite because it's being eroded into the rock. But it is forming an ammonite, just not very well. It looks almost like it was trying to form a chakra over here and over here, not at the same place. In some weird way that didn't really coalesce. So, okay. Let's just start here. This shaligram proves ammonites cannot be fossils. Why is there an ammonite and another ammonite overlapping one another? Oh yeah, because they're formed by eddy currents that are etching the stone and shaping it and making ammonites, not by fossils of shells. That's how there are two ammonites overlapping one another. This one even has, it's so incredible. If a typical ammonite of a shaligram, let's find a top, like here. I should probably close all that stuff. We'll have the top segment or the bottom, whichever like portions overlapping the ammonite will actually extend like this one into these ribs, because undercurrents of water were flowing from the eddy through the stone underneath the top along the boundary of this, creating this erosional opening in this structured way, while like pushing this material along the edge to move it outward, sometimes just removing it, but sometimes just extending it, creating like a little tab. We even see that in this one between the two ammonites. Oh my god. Chakra pointing over at this crack thing. That seems to turn a little bit, and it looks almost like a center of whatever this is. This has like a general circle here too, like an ammonite type shape. So like a chakra region underneath here, opposite to this chakra generally, pointing at it. Path off this way, like that one, but off the very end over here. Interesting stuff going on over here. Down here. Oh my god. Dear scientists, if you cannot explain this, you must admit that there is something unknown that someone might have an explanation for. And since they noticed it and have an explanation for it, maybe it's worth hearing. I don't know. I can't explain it. Like, it's literally inexplicable for two fossils, to overlap one another and do this. Oh my god. And then this is interesting as it runs into this one, along this path, as it runs into it. Branches off this way seemingly, doing the teeth thing, but like this way, and really looking almost like another boundary out here to this one. Like this system held a boundary that the currents of this eddy's ammonite structure could not extend past the boundary of the eddy of this system. So when the waters reached over here, they were just caused to go a different path and eroded here as well, it seems. This is pretty interesting too. I think most of the ammonite shaligrams that I've found that I decided I should make a video about are going to be equally impossible for modern science and fossilization to explain. This is interesting. It almost comes to like a chakra point over here. Again, this is high. We can see it with the matrix itself over here, overlapping there. But then this one is overlapping there, 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 there. This disproves basically everything that science has concluded. In biology, it needs completely rewritten. Geology needs completely rewritten. This really reveals fundamentals of physics that rewrite physics, and it needs rewritten. Nothing it says is true, but besides classical mechanics. And it reveals processes of chemistry, because we see like systems interacting. Like there's a boundary. There's things of a chemical nature fractally happening that are revealed in these stones. I don't know how exactly to extrapolate it. I just am aware. Sometimes I can see it. Other times it's more complex and difficult to imagine. But I do see it at times. Like one that looks like it's got a proton, which I interpret as an eddy, position. So like this is a proton, and then a mound, like the mass. A mass is a neutron. I'm not sure if it's like here or what exactly, or like a backing. Like as the eddy forms, it pushes material around that like forms a backing to embrace the eddy that then is like a neutron maybe. I'm not sure if it is that one-to-one easily extrapolable, able to be extrapolated. Oh my god, there. That is beautiful. Hey, scientists. You guys haven't looked at these yet. I don't think you noticed these yet, guys. I don't think you did, scientists. There's something missing in the data, unaccounted for. Just look at the way it is. The way it is. Definitely see. Didn't mention it earlier, but I noticed it, so maybe I can go back. Something here. It looks kind of circular. Maybe like right there. Around it, around there. Around there, maybe. As if this interaction was leading to some eddy over here. Maybe this current was flowing out of this side and back around in the eddy through this side to then be applying a pressure generally across from this direction to over here. So when current goes this way, it runs into it and maybe eddies here. I don't know. Although this is going this way. Doop, doop. Opposite way. It's like the teeth, but in the midst of the thing. It's like these. It's doing this. But like right there. In like the structure of that one. Like back to back. Current flows, one current in an inner chamber, another further out, kind of in like a bigger snake current that wraps around, that then creates these little nooks, like different tiers of an eddy. Possibly going different directions. Okay, so that's this one. The main thing that I felt of relevance is the feature right there. Inexplicable. Good luck, modern science, when you have to account for this detail. Next Shaligram. Hopefully people just are like, wow, that's awesome, and kind of it goes differently. This is interesting. Like it looks like a chakra there, and it's like an ammonite in this direction with another chakra here and an ammonite here. So there are two systems interacting, a boundary between them. In this area, I guess, like even pushing a boundary over here, this system does kind of flattens out and goes more straight across here. And then over here, it's more rounded. And I'm not sure, but it looks like it should be more rounded. You guys be the judge. Where this other system is literally exerting currents to push this system's boundaries back so it doesn't erode the structure in quite as far, is what I'm saying. Hence why that would matter. And then this looks almost spirally, like a whoop up to the chakra. Very interesting, especially seeing it this angle. Like there's the chakra, the bottom chakra, so there's definitely a chakra there, but there's almost like a ramp upward to the top chakra from the bottom over here. I forget why I took this one's image. Probably just thought it was cool, maybe. Here's it. Notice this shape. We'll see some later. That looks like a chakra to me. We'll see one later. Maybe I'll pull it up now. Let's just find it. I gotta find it. I gotta hide it though. I don't want to give away any clues here. We'll start with this one. What do you mean it looks like that? What, like here? No, 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 no. How am I gonna do this? Like this? Like this. So this rock, you know, it's just matrix over here, and it's matrix, continues matrix, and really, like, the matrix continues over here, and over here. Now we start turning it, it's like, wait a minute. Like, look how smooth this is. Smooth, smooth, smooth. Just the same smoothness, really. Over here, and over here, and over here. But then we kind of notice, like, down, some stuff of that nature over here. And something going on over here, and then, like, this thing. Like, eroding this mass into like a lobe of a chakras of this ammonite, basically. Also, it looks like it might have been kind of forming a chakra right there. Chakra there, which would probably explain like this angle. It was kind of forming one here. We even see the little lines around it there and there pointing at it. So it's forming a chakra there, maybe even over here a little one. I don't know. Just because it was still so like smooth that as this chakra, oh look at that, there's abruptly it turns into that, like clearly a chakra, clearly. Now, and we can see the lines and the shape over here to see like it's all part of this, but little lines over here are part of this chakra, possibly some over there. Like current went literally out this way, down this way, eddied here because another current was flowing into it. So as it went down, it flowed into another current and then caused it to eddy. Because it was held in place pretty much, I guess. But then continued this way. As this eddy happened, it continued this way, forming like the lobe. Going the path of the lobe, but along the way running into this surface area of the rock that had this like little, I don't know if it had it or if it formed it, maybe. Like the process was forming an eddy here because that's kind of what it does to then begin to create those like tube through things that we're seeing, the like two U's on that one, to go through, like literally start an eddy and cut through, start an eddy, cut through, that drills through in a shape of a larger eddy to then create like, oh, we're back, to then create, was it here? Shape of a larger eddy. Oh yeah, this kind of thing. Like literally forming an eddy here and then drilling through, and an eddy here, drilling through, eddy here, drilling through, to actually be creating parts of the structure, not just like a single large eddy, but an eddy composed of eddies that are like doing the drilling of the eddy. As the eddy propagates, it propagates with eddies, essentially. Okay, so there's that. Anyway, that kind of makes me think of a chakra of that same nature, where it's like pseudo chakra, because the real chakra is over here. Like it's going up to there, over there. But that kind of makes me think of a side chakra, like those ones. Let's see what else we got here. I can't remember what exactly. I just might have thought it was cool enough. Some definitely interesting features there. It's hard to say with the detail of the images, though. These are from a video. I just took screenshots. There's no actual photos, so I just took screenshots. There's another one. We can kind of see little teeth things going on down here. Maybe a different tier of it doing it as well. And then up here as well. Like different layers, it's happening one atop another. Whoa. Up towards the actual, what ended up being the chakra. Like trying to cut in other positions to make a different ammonite shape, different like energy level of the structure, something to do with how the structure is stably forming, and it isn't always the same shape. Like it can expand and be elongated and things, and as it changes shape, I think it essentially vibrates between equilibriums, and this was like the stable equilibrium-ish, but there were other vibrational states of the eddy that were also like actually manifesting enough to erode into the surface. Their like subtle beginning process simultaneously, so we can see like that happened, but it's really just an ammonite up here. Would be a thought that I'd have on what's going on there. Also, it looks kind of weird in there. This looks almost like a smaller circle over here, but also like part of a larger structure that's generally ammonite shaped. Having like a flat side and then just like a roundedness to it. This one reminds me of this one. This shape is not random. the way it arcs, flat and then angled off to the side like this, forward, like it's moving forward a tier. The chakra even looks maybe counterbalancing. I don't know. But this shape, I've seen it several times, for sure in my hand right here. Not necessarily the same overall thing, but the shape. Oops. It's hard to actually angle it the way that it looks. And it does it here too, really. It's kind of twice in this one. Same thing going on here. I thought that was of interest enough to just take a picture of it, pretty much. Something eroding in there. The way the dots are eroding around this is way too regularly spaced, as if it's eroding ammonite features to some kind of just starting to poke holes, but not really morphing the overall structure for some reason. Some reason it poked holes, but didn't really carve like this kind of thing. Like it could have connected the holes and then rounded around the side to make it more of an ammonite shape. But it seems to just have punctured a bunch of holes. That's my interpretation of why those holes are there, because it was doing something of that nature. I don't know. It looks like they're kind of, it's wavy. That's interesting. Okay, that's all of these screenshots. Now we can go back to, actually, I'll do this. Close all. Back over here now. This. I came across this one today. I thought it was incredible. This segment, the whole thing's awesome, but this segment, usually we don't see into the ammonite like here. And interestingly, it's not the whole. Typically, it's the far end, like this, like at the end, and then it's good. Like it's good after that, at least in terms of being like solid. But the end, it's eroded. In this case, I've never seen this before. One like chamber, almost like it blew out. Because the chambers are pretty much chambers of eddies, where eddies are contained, which I believe are very closely related to protons in an atomic sense when we're thinking of like higher than one proton in an atom, and relating it to ammonites, which are the same structure. How are they the same structure? What is what? Like, how do we relate one to the other? I believe the chambers are basically like protons. I don't know if that's the totality of it. They may also be like neutrons, and like both of them at once, and each chamber is like 4 protons / 4 neutrons, or I don't know exactly. Depending on where it's at, maybe it may change at different energy levels. Like further out, like we saw those 2 spirals, maybe like a chamber at that stage where there are 2 eddies going through, if you remember what I'm talking about. the one that was going through the side and had two eddies, like an inner and outer, like fingers wrapping around thing. Similarly, maybe there could be 3 or 4 type things at like a larger scale. As the eddy scales up, it tends to like discretely form different amounts of eddy structures that go through these that then lead to certain amounts of protons in certain areas and neutrons as it like spirals out to become, for reference, the periodic table of currents, like this, where there's just a chamber in which a current propagates. Chamber, current propagates, goes in and out because hydrogen. The one unit, it has just an inlet and an outlet that are shared. This is my interpretation. It's not like set in stone, obviously. And current then gets into the chamber, like getting into a shaligram, and then it eddies within it, forming a ammonite, which is a proton, basically. Depending on which angle of perception, it gets more complex than that, but like a single unit, like sometimes with shaligrams are best represented as like just a single unit, like a proton. Other times it seems more reasonable that they would be like a higher element, like gold or something, if they had enough chambers to then represent enough protons, some other actual element that at best like mimics across scales, because they're not all like hydrogen, hydrogen, hydrogen in appearance. I don't know exactly how to like infer all these things, but as current goes in, though, it can form mounds, dense, like compact mounds by an eddy, essentially forming a mound, kind of like let's say some of them have like actual mound backing to the eddy. It's kind of doing it here, like over here, literally over here, like this. But more so, like, even sometimes, like, around it, to literally form a backstop that braces the eddy, that then allows for larger quantities of eddy energy within the eddy. Because if the backstop doesn't form, but the eddy keeps growing, then it's just going to break the chamber. But if this backstop forms and this eddy grows, it can essentially have another eddy form stably without the surrounding chamber breaking. And maybe that, I don't know how real that chamber is, like what that even would be, or if that's just more just like a space that like is by the local physics, like where energy kind of concentrates into a space, so like kind of like a lake where it just holds energy, which then becomes like a chamber where then currents can flow in and out of and form eddies, especially if like enough current, because it's not really behaving like an atom if it's just sitting there like a lake. It really needs to be much more like active to see the same processes, like the global flood that caused these shaligrams, the flood that brought the water, that had the pressure and the current and flow rate to grab a hold of all of this shale and quartz and pyrite and compress it while forming eddies around it, compressing it into actual blocks of material while moving the particles within it to lead to actual flows where like the grains in the ammonite structure are moving, not just like sitting there and having water flow past them. They're actually in motion to a degree. Not always kind of dependent on the shaligram. Sometimes it is more apparent that it was eroded after it solidified, and other times it is more that it was fluid because of the way the shale is, depending on how it is. But anyway, this one's incredible. It's got this little ammonite like center with the top still on it where current would have been propagating down through it. This blown out chamber, kind of like a super volcano, I don't know. Pretty much. Internal pressure overwhelmed the exterior, but because there was pressure outside, it took a lot of pressure, and once it overwhelmed it, it got through like a boom. Pretty much blew the chamber out. It seems like it's totally just missing the chamber. It's very strange looking at the surroundings. Like the rest of it is pretty solid, and then this whole chamber is almost like obliterated, gone. We could say maybe it was hit some blunt force, but like where's pieces? Like I have in this one, like I can move the same structures, the suture patterns, they grab. They're literally like little hands that lock fingers, but then they have like protrusions on those locking fingers that actually grab on. So even when they erode in part, they're still like interlocked. So for it to be totally gone, is cleanly gone, is pretty odd. It also looks kind of like if this starts somewhat wrapping around, like it kind of points towards there, especially from here to the chakra. Like there might be some relationship between this system interacting with this system along this path that really eroded it enough to then allow for that internal pressure to just blow the side out. It's so crazy how perfectly circled this is here. Like, what's going on over here? It just ends. There's no images. The video never panned to the top here. We can't see from this side. So that we don't know what it looks like exactly over there, unfortunately. But we do know as we turn this way, I believe. There's this thing. Behind it is another ammonite. That ammonite down there. You can see this like the lobe, the mass of the ammonite a little better over here. The opposite one. This is the opposite one. Backside looks like it's kind of splitting into different segments like atoms can do, like a decay. Or cells. Certainly is a relationship to biology that I have no concept of. Like, I can recognize it's there. I just don't know how to. It seems almost like the step after somehow managing to relate these enough to chemistry to understand chemistry better from them. Like to actually extrapolate from them something of very important significance to atoms beyond just like being able to better generally understand them. Like to actually use it, to apply it, takes like a level of understanding that I'm not sure I'm even close to. This is interesting over here. This one, it's just whoa. Drops down. We see the chakra down here, not just here. So like all this is being eroded around. This is just like the matrix, just like over here, but it's being eroded around by this eddy current that's actually cutting down in here and then running this way. Essentially, the overall process is a current flowing from the top through the chakras down to the bottom, fanning out to the sides, and then propagating back up to the top to then feed back through, which is when the grains are especially in motion when that's happening. And what was I saying? As it does that, it like grows an eddy at the center, literally. Like some of it runs down. So we can kind of look at it from like an actual the propagation of energy kind of thing. Like as it goes down, it's running into a bottom that's like there's resistance here, which is why this is the bottom. As it was forming, like it was just forming into resistance. So this current can't just flow continuously, it runs into resistance. So it does what resistance does and fans out in all directions. Or what resistance does to currents that it's running into. Fans out around it, creating like the general flow outward and around, but over time creating an actual erosional path that cuts through, like here. Like it doesn't cut everywhere. These cuts are not always formed, but sometimes they form. So it cut through here to actually get through. Like it's very common for this cut to just be partial because it's physically cutting through the rock and it doesn't necessarily cut like the same way because sometimes it vents through the rock and the pressure, internal pressure changes, and then suddenly it's not able to cut through the rock, and then we don't have any additional evidence of it cutting through the rock because it no longer was. Or something of that nature, where the process just is able to vent enough internal pressure to not actually continue. But generally it goes to the sides and comes back up. So it's interesting we literally can see it in like the way this one is. Let's see. This also looks kind of spirally. I mean, obviously spirally is fucking what the ammonite is, but like I don't know how to describe it. Like there's like its own spiral within the spiral that goes around here. I don't know. That might be too far. Pretty interesting erosion over here. That's made it more kind of just like this looking. And then on this side, so this is the ammonite, but then there's ribs over here. Like the way this is and then this. They're clearly energetically related. Like, it's not just arbitrarily two fossils interacted so that a fossil's here, fossil's over here, and then this fossil interacts with this portion to cut it like this and create this shape that then has this shape beyond it that then relates to this shape. It's energetically related. All of this is like a singular process shaping the stone, where the aspects that are shaping the larger ammonite are energetically interacting with nearby but not quite the same current, like a divided system, like an eddy and another eddy versus a large eddy that occupies this certain space, and then there's no other eddies in that space. Like, but where, like, let's say an eddy, another eddy, but then around that is like a band, kind of like if we look at, say, the ocean currents. No, it's this one, probably. Ocean currents. Literally like these. Like, we can see a node there and another node there with a band around it, etc. Like, this one's kind of by itself here, divided from that one. This one's divided from that one, but these two are wrapped around to be conjoined. This one's divided from this one, but there's really a current wrapping around them all, like holding them like a rubber band around them, like a damodar, where shaligrams are from. Damodar cooned, which means rope around the belly. Like, this is an aspect of shaligrams where there's a certain boundary, and that within that boundary is other things that have their own boundaries. Or other times there's just a single system that doesn't have, like, divided from the rest, and that's just its own thing, and we see it as like one thing, but it's still, it all formed in a large process of current interactions, doing something similar to this, but localized in the Himalayas region. Not yet in the Himalayas, but now found in the Himalayas. But happening in that region of the earth in Nepal, where these currents were flowing like this, but under extremely high pressure and currents, flow rates. They weren't flowing as like as uninfluential on the earth as they are now, in terms of, like, everything is generally stably positioned. At that time, things were not stably positioned. Things were moving. The continents were literally being cut apart from a single landmass, where all the continents were just together, and then they were cut apart by current flows that were so intense that they literally formed mountains. They moved entire continents, like Australia. They just did a lot that they're not doing anymore. Now it's pretty much stable for the time being. For the time being. Wonder if there's something to glean from this. Like shared electrons. I wonder. wonder, I wonder. Okay, let's keep going. So, that one. Also, whatever's going on here, it's hard to tell. Definitely like a circle, so basically an ammonite was happening here. On top of it, so there, I guess this might be related to that one. But it looks kind of far away. Like it's all the way over here. Is that really related to this? I don't know. It looks like it might be though. Like actually energetically that this chakra maybe went, like the currents went down into this and propagated out sideways and flowed out over there for some reason to create like this structure where there's just these like fanning out current paths. I don't know. Then we see it cut again here also, like a slice. Real, like what's a fossil doing? Is it down here, or is it here, or is it here? Like, it can't be all of these. A fossil can't do all those things. It has to choose one because it's a rigid system. It can't, like, vibrate between options. Maybe I'll be here. You know what? This place seems better. Actually, we need down here. We need a space. So, like, this one is more like what it actually typically would do, but it seems to have, like, some reason just kind of try to cut, like, a little bit off. This one I found really interesting over here. Like, I've been saying, like, if you see my physics of a Shaligram, these things tend to form flat faces. Like, this one's broken, but like this, but flat. Like, they tend to form flat faces that then get eroded to form like a crevice where an eddy forms, a crevice where an eddy forms, crevice where an eddy forms, which then begin to actually get into the stone and shape it and form the dendrites. This one, look at this thing. It's hard to tell what's happening in this image. It's like rounded inward. It's like if you took a fence post or something and just kind of pushed in or something. Some kind of rounded, like that's the main thing I thought was, like, the whole Shalagram's interesting. It was hard to tell what was happening because there weren't that many, like, angles to see it. So I mostly was focused on that, but I do notice there's this current going that way, this way, so it's more straight here, like towards the center maybe, like generally towards like chakra type energy, and then off center over here, and off center in the opposite direction over here, and here really, where in this case it's cut it entirely. Maybe also over here, and maybe therefore also over here too then maybe, because this one's a clean cut and looks very, like, this one even continues through there. Like, it's clearly cut this and this, and therefore it kind of looks like it must have cut over there too, just like in some weird way. Maybe it wasn't so much of a slice and more like turbulent cutting, so it was more rough. I don't know. Very cool. I mean, it's beautiful. What a Shaligram. It's gorgeous. Looks like it might even done the same thing back there. This one's smooth too, but it's not like that. This is more normal. I've never seen one that was like shoved inward like this, and that's the whole of it all. Just boop. Under pressure. How did that happen? It's literally like that. Not a finger, but a pressure that is finger-like. Anomalously, because I guess that doesn't typically happen, because I've never seen one that was like that. So maybe that is one where the eddy happened to have like a single eddy. Maybe if we go back. Maybe it didn't have like some other multiple eddies to kind of divide it over here. So it had to like hit in different regions and create more of that like multiple eddy positions to create a dendrite structure. I don't know. It's very odd. This one's incredible too. So we can see through here. There's some chakras in there. Some interesting shapes to it all over here. This going on over here. Oh, it looks like we can see underneath here, like it's forming a chakra type thing there. Right there, maybe, in some weird way, where it's not like that. It was not the dominant energy, so it did not form like a stable structure, but it looks like it might have like held pressure into this general area by having some like flow around it, like those eddies, like these, just like around it. That and like another current was going by, and then it went around it to like protect it instead of it cutting into it, kind of thing. Seems like might have happened there to make it do that. To have this under, like it definitely has a little crevice in there. And this side looks much more like shaped, though it looks kind of like it's approaching a chakra here. This might be like the nucleus with chakras there. All these lines across it. Pseudo ammonite thing eroding in there. Maybe another one there. I mean, definitely. Here's another one too. And I don't know where that's centered on, but this looks like it's more like in there, centered around here. And then again with the like extra slice, this goes down, across, across, across. This goes over, above that. Dear science. Checkmate. It's so true, though. It's so true. Checkmate. Like, what is even going on here? It's like forming a chakra between there. Like an eddy going around it, too. Let's go back. That's a different one. That's weird. Why is that a different one? There it is. Okay. I was like, I know I took a picture we could see through. I assume this is the one we can see through the other way. Here, looking through, we then see here, I guess. It's hard to tell without really. This one, like, what's going on over here? Oh my god. Looks like an alien language. Here it's eroding in, just that portion. Kind of doing like this, like cutting under. So like this segment, it didn't cut under. It started cutting under here and cut 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 and then cut in deeper. So it cut like down a layer here, but then cut deeper here to cut into there. While still doing that down a layer though, like it starts going out. Like imagining the eddy is kind of held into some boundary initially that it grows out from, where it grows out along this boundary. And then stops doing that and then starts doing it again over here, maybe? Probably currents going across this way, that as it's running into it, it runs into more and more resistance, so it kind of stops influencing over here and goes around, though. Still goes around, just stops influencing because it runs into enough pressure to prevent it cutting through like that. Maybe. I don't know. And then continues and bends, at which point then it's like carries the momentum of the current running into it, where it goes this way, but it runs into the actual resistance of this backstop of the material and cuts in and bends around, and then some reason does this over here, maybe as it approaches this end of the rock. It's almost like a region where an eddy is likely to happen. Like there tend to be nodes on a certain corner, like any corner of a shaligram. It's very common to have an ammonite in it, of like a node though, where energy like got trapped in a corner and eddied, pretty much. Because that's what it takes for an eddy, trapped in a corner. This one I thought kind of did that same thing with spiraling upward like that other one. I know it just kind of gave me the video did it best. It was hard to capture the exact moment I was trying to capture for this one. Where it looked kind of like the layer, like a spiral of energy down here, like down, that like skips a layer here, that literally is going underneath, going down, 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 but it's running, like growing in size, running into resistance though, and like ramps around it and doesn't actually cut into it anymore. And almost like a ramp though, like it eddies around in this way and then out, around maybe that way too, like applying a round out and applying a backward pressure to like on this mass. Maybe. Just a thought with that one. There's definitely some cool features on it, but let's go. So then this one, again, might be near the end. This I thought was interesting. Just the way it is, considering it's matrix and it's not like ammonite. What, look, isn't that is a shape. That is not river erosion. That is like a mathematical geometric shape in the same way as the rest of the ammonite. Even though it's like matrix, I know it's like part of the ammonite. Maybe that's enough reason for it to have the shape, but it's still like matrix. Okay, this one, it's got a literal like nipple. Chakra's pretty much like a nipple, but it's got an actual like opening where the water seemingly went through it, seemingly eroded through it enough to create an actual opening. I don't know. I mean, there's another opening over here, and then another opening over here, and then another one down here, so maybe it's not so simple. These look kind of in a line, and then this looks relatively perpendicular. But this opening, we can see the pathway through. I don't know if I got an image of it. This goes through. At one point in the video, for like a split second, I couldn't slow it down to capture it, and I didn't care enough. I just figured I'd say so. This we can see through. This opening on the right side, I'm like pointing at it. This one we can see through to over here. It goes through the stone from like over here, maybe. Boop. Just like a straight line cut through, like, where is it? Like these, like this. So notice it's got this, boop. Notice this little tab, like that other tab I was just talking about. Through. This one's eroded around the edge of it. Even has connections still. But a bunch of through holes. Through holes. This is incredible. These are not part of this ammonite. That's incredible. Okay, what else? Through hole, oh yeah. Do have one here. You can see. It was visible for a second. This one where it actually went into the Shaligram, drilled in, and then it formed a larger eddy and made an ammonite. Literally drilled into the stone, made an ammonite. Drilled in, made this face. Drilled in, made this. Drilled in here, but not actually getting in, just eroding some. Drilled through there. So that's what's going on this one over here. But notice it's got these little doop 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 doop, but also over here. Doop 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 doop. It's a little odd. It even looks kind of like a chakra, like down across, like this way. This makes me think of a chakra right here. Some reason, like with the nucleus here, but like turned, angled more this way with lobes out to the side, like a chakra. Dude, I don't know why. It's even got eroding like that way, as if it were to be forming a chakra, potentially. This one, what is going on here? I tried my best to get a good image of this one. It's literally draping down like a waterfall, like a trickle down a rock wall that's like leaving behind some minerals deposits. Like it literally is draping over it. What? I don't even know what this is. It's got like a little mass that seems to go back. That looks like it was part of like the structure of a lobe. Kind of like maybe this or something, some portion. That's then just overlaying in a weird way. Like, it shouldn't do that. It shouldn't do that. That's not what a fossil would do. We can even see the dendrites skipping between the layers. A fossil, if this was an actual shell, it would spiral out and get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And the shells would discreetly be separate as they spiraled out. This has a interior one that's connecting, like this segment is connecting through here in this clearly anomalous way. And like it's so cool that the nucleus still has a little rib on it. It's almost like it has its own rib. This one I thought was interesting because of the like hard 90-degree angle here at the chakra. Right at the chakra. Boom. 90 degrees. Sharp angles in there too. And then we see the same sharpness that's going on over here. Like boom, boom, boom. Going on here. Boom, boom. Boom, 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 boom. Almost as if a current is propagating and cutting in, but then continues to propagate, cuts in, cuts in, continues, cuts in, cuts in, wrapping around, cutting in here too. And then doing the same over this way, cut in, 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 going up this way, and back, but not actually eroding through here some reason. It's instead forming a mass, like it's like taking this material, shoving it here, taking this material, shoving it here, so it's getting compacted here, and literally forming a larger amount of material as a mass there for some reason. Okay. That's all the new ones that I had today. I certainly have new ones, but those are the ones I meant to talk about today. This one's kind of incredible. This right here. Swoosh. It's like a check mark. Oh, did you think I was going this way? Nope. I'm sorry, did you think I was as simple as just some layering? No, no, no. No, sorry. What is up with that? It's beautiful. Like, what a unique stone for not having any, like, fossils. Ammonite shapes to, like, really excite it up a bit. Like, this is really cool. Cool Shaligram. From Rujak's Guru, this one. All the others were from Siraj Das. From here. Let's just watch this video. The one that is incredible. Both of these. Maybe check this one out. This is where I took the images from. This one, it really is something. It's so hard to get an image. It wasn't blurry when I paused. Oh wow, it's segmenting like halfway. There's a line that way, cutting around the other side, and then halfway. This goes around halfway, but then the other way, like this way, is another one too. Over here, like quadranting it. And then this one. Something going on there. I didn't look at this one, let's see. Looks pretty interesting, abnormal. It's like one of those currents coming out, like a eddy, that a smaller eddy than the overall like size though, that was like eroding out through that portion only. That's so odd. Or in, but I think out. This, oh my god. It's so subtle and shallow and ammonite-esque, but not really. Oh my god. Like chakras across lobe, like many lobes outward on each direction, and then it kind of bends over even. And then like these are kind of forming the ribs in here, out here though, but not quite, but definitely doing it, but not quite. Wow. Really. This one's cool too. It looks like almost like two arms. Like, oh, that's not the right. It's not the right video. It's the right Shaligram. That's not the same video. Let's check out this one. This is kind of weird looking colors. Maybe the lighting. Definitely some of that like layering of multiple ammonite structures cutting atop each other. I don't know how to pause it at the beginning. Oh, maybe not. Maybe not there. This is, I think. Nope. It's definitely the one. This one, I gotta see. Maybe the video. I'm trying to remember what exactly I saw in this one besides what I said. Because I kind of just like spitballed it, and I feel like there was something besides just those. Besides just that, as well as just like the overall appearance of it. I don't remember. Have not really looked at their Shaligrams. Unfortunately, they post in a lot of places, different Shaligrams in different places. Sometimes it's not all like in the same location. So it's kind of a task to find the total every Shaligram, not like miss something. I don't know how to not miss a good one. That might be in one of them. It is what it is, I guess. Wow. Oh, I think there's a chakra there. And then just like ribs through it from a larger system. Oh, those are ribs through it. No. No way. Definitely is a thing that happens where like the ribs lead into ammonites. That looks like an ammonite shape. Like if I didn't see the other side, I would say there's like no thought in my mind that this was where ribs are going through this stone. Until I see over here, clear as day. Trying to get it. That's interesting. I don't know if it has like a chakra in there. It just kind of looks like it would. Like it has the general shapes that I would anticipate ammonite features, but it really looks like it might actually not. Might just be rib like structures. trying to capture it here to see if there's any form of chakra like that. That right there makes me think chakra. With a lobe and a lobe. That is like forming some kind of ammonite structure there. And basically an eddy off of the end. Between the two ribs. Hard to say, though. I mean, it kind of looks like it, but it's just hard to say without any more images, unfortunately. Whoa. Okay. That one looks pretty cool. Lots of details. Whoa. You can see it like where it eroded here down to there. And then did a little eddy there. Basically taking the shape of a lobe, but eroding it around it, out of here, presumably, coming out of here and around this way, and then over there. Yeah, that's the same one. Okay. This one's pretty cool too. Big. Chambers. Oh man, okay. I'm gonna stop for now. If I had to sit here scrolling through Shaligrams now, I could do that for a while. There's some, oh, that one's cool. I could just sit here doing that though. And, damn. No, I'm doing it again. See the problem? Let's see real quick. I think I've talked about the ones that I've seen of interest so far here. Okay. Not in this video, but in another video. Or other videos. Okay. Nothing so utterly popping out to me that I must look closer at it. I think certainly some interesting ones. Whoa. Oh. That's no more images. Okay. So that's my spiel for the day about Shaligrams. They're pretty sweet.